this lesson, we're going to be revisiting the 12-bar blues pattern that we learned in the first volume, and we're going to add some stuff to it. So if you remember right, the 12-bar blues is a chord progression commonly used, obviously, in blues, rock, pop, all kinds of music, and it's made up of 3 particular chords related to whatever key you're in. The chords are symbolized by Roman numerals, the Roman numeral 1, the Roman numeral 4, and the Roman numeral 5. And those correspond to the 1st, 4th, and 5th interval of the major scale of whatever key you're in. So in this case, we're playing 12-bar blues in the key of A. So the 1 chord is A, the root. So we're going to play that. If we play our major scale, we're going to play A like we learned it before with an open string power chord. Okay? The 4, which is D, if you play the major scale, count up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our 4. We're going to play that as the open D power chord here. And then the 5th is E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's our 5 chord. We're going to play that here, our open power chord, open E power chord. Okay, so the reason they use Roman numerals is so that you can easily transpose or move the chord progression to any key. So if somebody says, you know, we're going to play a 1, 4, 5 chord progression in the key of G, you know it's the 1 of G, the 4 of G, and the 5 of G. So that's why they use those Roman numerals. And you'll see that it's kind of common, pretty common, where people refer to the Roman numerals. So, and the reason you might want to move a key, too, is because if you're singing, for example, you might be better suited to sing in a certain key. So you might learn a song on guitar in the key of A, but be better off singing it in the key of G. That way you use the Roman numerals, it's easy to transpose. So, okay, so let's look at the 12-bar blues and how we can add to it. So, in an earlier lesson, we talked about eighth notes. So when we first learned this, we played it quarter notes. We did 1, 2, 3, 4. That was our first bar. Okay, now we're going to play eighth notes, which is double that. And we're also going to swing it. And when somebody says swing, that means you are playing the eighth notes. They're not exactly even. They're pushed ahead of the beat a little bit. So it sounds like this. Regular eighth notes would be this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so we have our quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. To swing it, you push that eighth note. So. Okay, now I was using the technique we're going to learn today, but if I just play it with the power chord, it would sound like. It's kind of like a skip. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that's swinging it. A lot of blues is swung. So now let's look at adding our third finger and making this kind of a little more interesting. So we start with our A power chord, okay, and we're going to be using our third finger on the D string, so same string that our first finger is on, and that is the 6th of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're using an A chord, so we'll use the A major scale to find that interval. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the 6. So this is you're kind of going back and forth between an A5 and an A6, generally speaking. But some people would just refer to it as a riff. So, 2 hits on the A5. Then we're going to put our third finger, 4th fret D string, that's our 6th, hit that twice. So you just do that back and forth. Now that was 1 bar. If you remember our pattern, we play 4 bars on the 1 chord first. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's 1 bar. Now when you're moving this finger, you don't even have to ever move this first finger as long as you're staying on this A chord. So you're really just lifting and putting down your 3rd finger. Try to avoid doing, you know, that's just more energy you gotta use. Just leave that first finger down. So, okay, our pick hand is doing all. You can just do all downstrokes on this. Okay, so we're gonna play 4 bars of that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and then we're gonna move to our 4 chord, which in the key of A is D. So we go to our D power chord. Same technique. 3rd finger on the 4th fret on the G string. If you remember, it's 2 bars on the 4 chord. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then we go back to our 1 chord, our A chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 2 bars. So we got 4 bars on the 1, 2 bars on the 4, 2 bars on the 1 again. Then we go to our 5 chord, which is E in this key. Same technique, 3rd finger, 4th fret on the B string. 2 bars here. That would lead us back to our A for a bar. And then back to our E, the 5 for a bar. And that finishes up, that's 12 bars. Now in 12-bar blues, they just keep repeating that over and over. So if we started on the 5 there, you just go right back into it. Okay, and they play that, you know, till they're blue in the face. So that's that technique. We're swinging the 8th notes. It's also sometimes people call it a shuffle. Okay, so that was 1 time around, 12 bars. Okay, now we're going to add a little something more to this 12-bar blues thing. We're going to add what's called a turnaround. And a turnaround in blues and jazz is a transitional passage at the end of a section. So basically it connects the end of 12 bars to the beginning of the next 12 bars. So it sounds like this. If we're gonna take it from where we hit the 5th chord, or our E. Okay, so that's a turnaround. The little. Okay, so that takes place on the last 2 bars, the 11th bar and the 12th bar. So it goes over top of the 11th bar is typically the 1 chord, and the 12th bar is typically the 5th chord. So basically, you're just putting a little riff on those bars. So taking it from the 5 chord, it's going to go. We're going to do our 5 chord, a little shuffle. We're going to come down here. We're going to play the A5 chord twice in that rhythm. Then we're going to come up here with our 3rd finger and play the 5th fret on the D string. Now watch my pick hand. We're going to alternate between the D string and the A string. So D string, A string, D string. Watch my pick hand. So I go down, up, down. Then we're going to drop down to the 4th fret D string, same pick pattern. Then the 3rd fret. So then we're going to play our A5 chord. So it's that's the first part, okay? So coming from our 5 chord, okay, so just work on that part for a while. Once you get that, then move on to this next part I'm going to show you. Okay, so we come out of that little descending pattern. Then it's just this little riff, starting with the open D string. We're going to ascend up to an E, which is the root note of our 5 chord. So open E, then 1st fret, D string with our 1st finger, then 2nd fret, D string with our 2nd finger. So okay, that's all it is. That's our E right there. And then we're going to finish it up by playing the E5 power chord. Okay, so okay, that's the end of our turnaround. Then you would just start right back in on the 1 chord and start the progression all over. Okay, and that's it for the 12-bar blues, and I'll see you in the next lesson.